Hey there, welcome back for another episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And today I have an amazing people leader joining me today. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership and development and some of the things that she's been working on. But I want to introduce everybody to Tara Hesson. And Tara and I had the privilege of working together a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago. And I wanted to go ahead and have this conversation with her because I think she's doing some really good work here. And with that, Tara, introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself and what are you up to these days?
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure reconnecting back with you. And yeah, it has been just a few years since we worked together, probably more than I want to really even acknowledge. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be on your podcast with you. So, I am a leadership development consultant and executive coach. I'm the founder of Hesson Talent Solutions. And after many decades of being in corporate, I found myself a little over a year ago sitting across from my boss and being told that we are having a organization change. And it was the first time that had happened. And so I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I started listening to this little voice in my head of just like, go and do it, do what your passion is. So I created my own practice that focuses on, what I really care about, which is helping leaders, helping teams, helping organizations identify and develop high potential talent to create those ready now leaders that have the skills and capabilities to effectively go out and be the best managers, get the best productivity, increase results, all the things that everybody's looking to do.
Awesome. I love that because I talked to so many people over the course of the past few years, and those that have gotten into consulting or gone out on their own. It's always been that field of dreams moment that I call it. Where the little voice inside their head says, "Go do it. If you build it, they will come," and inevitably it happens. And if it's all about belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And what you have to offer to others, and and the rest usually becomes history after that. So
Yeah.
I love that you took the plunge. So
Thank you. Thank you. It's been
so
fun.
it has been,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it has its moments.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
as does work in a corporate environment.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. I'm finding I'm sometimes not a nice boss to myself and sometimes a great boss. So so
That
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
funny. It's interesting, when you go out on your own, you forget that sometimes you have to be good to yourself, as well as, just being that good partner and building those relationships. You got to build those relationships with yourself first, sometimes. So,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I've said it's not a learning curve. It's a learning straight line that you are climbing and sometimes just holding on to dear life every day. But it's been a
yeah,
great experience and I'm so, so grateful that I've done it.
excellent, excellent. Well, what drives your passion for coaching and development?
Yeah, I would say it started when I first got into training and development. I was a new hire trainer for a credit card company that's now part of the Chase organization. And I remember standing up in front of my group of new hires, facilitating my first class. And when I saw the spark in people's eyes that they got it and they could do something today that they couldn't do the day before, and then to see them progress and ultimately in many ways see them grow into some leaders. Some individuals have gone on to be vice presidents and CEOs, and to know that, wow, I played maybe a small little part in making a difference in people's lives. And it just became something that I just gravitated towards and just felt like I want to make sure that I can help people bridge the gaps between, as I said, where they are today to where they want to go. And whether that's through doing, one-on-one coaching to help unlock kind of some things that exist within a person that they just need to, get rid of those limiting beliefs or see themselves in a different way, or to help build skills and capabilities through a program, a leadership development program, or an individual contributor program that just is like, here's some ideas on how to develop better habits, or how to give feedback, or how to build trust on your team. And so by being able to do that and then see the progress that people make, it's just, it's just a huge passion of mine. I play the part kind of in the supporting role of people and their careers. And I just want to make people the best that they can be. And if I can help to facilitate that in some way, then that's what I want to do, to just help people become more aware of how they can be as great as they want to become.
Tara, I love that. And, one of the things that I've had the opportunity to do over the years is take some leadership development classes. But what I found interesting in what you said is early on in your career, you were hoping that you were able to help mold
Yeah.
some of or create some foundational values for people that went on to be CEOs and executive leaders. And one of the things that I remember back when I started 3+ decades ago, um,
It
is
was
some of those initial, yeah. Um, so some of those initial foundational leadership development courses that I had the privilege of taking, um, really helped mold me into the type of leader that I think I became. And with each iteration, each stopping point, you just build on that foundation, but you always go back to the foundational value. So I am confident that you have played a role in molding a lot of amazing leaders throughout your career. So
well, thank you. I hope so.
yeah.
That's the goal. Yeah.
So you're also a certified leadership coach.
Yeah.
Where do you see organizations today struggling with leadership development?
Yeah, well, I think that kind of feeds off of what you were just saying, in that, a lot of times people get promoted. They're the best technical person, the best salesperson, the smartest person in the room, in whatever field that they're in. And so they get tapped to get, the management role. But there's the big gap of not having the development that they need to be able to make them into giving them those skills and capabilities to say, this is a model that you can use and how to give feedback. Here's why you set expectations so that you can then give feedback. And then if we need to have performance conversations, we can build that, but we've got to set the expectations first. And I think a lot of times companies are so moving at such a fast pace that they haven't really taken the time to fully identify who's in our bench, who do we need to develop, what are their gaps, and how can we create some programs that help to give some fundamental, just skills that they can, just foundational things that they can build upon, like you said, just those basics. And I think that's what's missing a lot of times today. And, there's even been a number of studies from some of the top consulting research firms that are saying that executives are afraid, or they're fearful that they don't have the leadership ready for the roles that they are going to need to step into. And as baby boomers are exiting, the Gen X population wasn't as high. There's a lot of folks that are having to be accelerated in from, the millennial population, the Gen Z population that are having to step into leadership roles before they're really ready. And I think that that is, something that's a real challenge for organizations today. I would also say that, training and development is one of those things that people sometimes think of as a luxury. And in economies when the economy is not doing very well, it tends to be a role that a lot of times is like, oh, we can put this on the chopping block because they're not making any money. We need the sales guy there. So there's a pause that sometimes happens. Um, I will say that even last year when everything was kind of topsy-turvy, and I don't know if it's changed all that much now, but a lot of companies did put a pause and put a pin on some things. And while I can certainly understand that from a budget standpoint and wanting to make sure that if they can save their people by reducing some budget, certainly understand that. But what happens is that when they stop it or they get rid of the team, there's that much more work that has to take place. And it's almost even double the work versus like, let's just trudge through it and kind of move forward. So those are some of the main, kinds of things that I think organizations are facing today. And as I both was an internal coach and head of leadership, head of talent development at my former company, we experience those same things, but also seeing it from the outside, it's very prevalent.
It's interesting. I've seen the same thing throughout my career, Tara, where one of the first things to get reduced is the learning and development space, and then inevitably, and I know you've seen this, within a year or two, they're like, well, why can't our people do the jobs? You
Yeah,
know, it's like,
yeah,
well, you kind of eliminated that, back a
yeah.
year ago. And
Or they promote somebody and then they don't
Mhm.
know what they're doing. And so then it reduces, it creates all the other factors of attrition occurs, motivation goes down, productivity goes down. And it doesn't have to be, these huge monumental sort of programs. There can be some very simple and easy types of things that can take place that just by giving some basic fundamentals can start to set people on a path of being that great manager that I really do wholeheartedly believe everybody wants to be. Nobody sets up to say, I want to be the worst manager ever when somebody is asked, who's your worst manager, that my picture comes to mind in their head. Nobody wants that. Even individual contributors, nobody wants to be the worst performer on their team. Nobody
Mhm.
sets out to do that. But sometimes there needs to be some opportunities that allow for people to know where their gaps are, get the feedback to know where their gaps are, and have the opportunity to help close those gaps. And whether that's through coaching one-on-one or through a, program that they may be going through in their organization, it can help to reduce that friction to help them to, be who they want to be later on.
I mean, coaching and development isn't just like a YouTube video that I tell you to go watch.
No,
Oh
it's
my
not.
gosh. Oh
No.
my
I mean,
gosh.
it's a start. It's better than nothing. I will say, like, I really truly believe that everybody needs to be continuously improving, and that's kind of another reason why I got into this field is that I think you never arrive. It's like your GPS. You put your GPS in, and Google says you have arrived. Like you get the manager title and you aren't arrived. Like that means that you still have to keep searching, you still have to keep working towards, learning more. And no matter how many management classes, and I teach management classes, and as a manager, I would be saying things that would be coming out of my mouth. And I am like in my brain going, you need to be listening to this right now because you're not having this conversation or you're not doing this, or it's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be doing that. I've totally forgotten that I needed to do it. So we all need those refresher types of things. So even though I'm saying fundamentals are important early on, I think they're important as you go through your career and just continue to refine and hone them even a little bit more so that people can because people change, you change, and you got to adapt to what's going on, not only in the world with a younger generation who performs very differently than when I was first entering the business world. So that takes some different skills to be able to tap into what's going to motivate them and what's going to help improve, get the performance that you need for the organization's ultimate results overall.
Isn't it wild that when we first started out in our career journeys, um, that was always, oh, those older people really don't get it, and now we've become the older people.
I know.
And guess what? We get it, and are the younger generations are like, yeah, you don't get it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's kind of a scary thing when I look around and I go, I am the oldest person in this room. And
Yes.
when did that happen? How did that happen? And, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
But
crazy.
one of the things is of interest to me, um, and I think for a lot of people is, you know, your Gen Zs and your Gen Alphas, um, are now starting to take on more of those leadership roles, or they've started they on an entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
and well, some boomers, Gen X's and millennials are like, yeah, I'll go work for that, go work for that company, and it's amazing you know, how much of a gap there exists between leadership and structure, with some of the younger generations and what we've gotten used to over the years. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. Is that
Yeah.
something that you talk to people about?
In the different generations and how
Yeah.
people, yeah, I think there is it's a mindset shift for everybody. It's a
Hmm.
mindset of if I'm the older person in the room, how I can value and appreciate that what the younger generation or less experienced, I
Hmm.
guess I should say, person, as well as how can I, if I'm the youngest and the less experienced, how can I appreciate and value where this person's coming from too? So, a lot of the work I do is about mindset. So some of it's about seeing things, understanding and appreciating the differences in personalities and in communication styles, but also in those differences in generations too, so that people can just meet people where they're at. And I think a lot of times we don't always do that. We want them to be something else. And so we're not first starting with this is starting point zero, and we've got to build a relationship. And that may mean that I need to ask you some questions, and that may mean that I need to talk to you and I don't need to look down on you of either sort and that, kind of conversation, but that I can probably most likely find more common the things that we have in common than we have differences just because we were born at different times. So trying to help people to see that it's more than, the young kid or the old, old man or old woman. But there's a person there and there's experiences that we both bring, even though some may have more lived experiences than others. And so it's just trying to get on each other's level the best way possible. And that's through that conversation and just being able to change the mindset that this person may have something of value regardless of their age.
Love that. I love that. Um, so talk to us about some of the team building and talent consulting and training and facilitation work that you do with clients. Who should be talking to you about working with you?
Yeah. So, from a team building standpoint, I am certified in DISC as well as the EQI, the emotional intelligence assessment. And so using that with teams to be able to come together, maybe there's a new manager that is entering into that organization or into that team and or a team's forming. So working with teams in that forming, storming kind of space is
Yep.
a sweet spot for me to help them to understand this is who the players are, this is how we function, trying to help them to establish some team norms so that they can know kind of the boundaries that they need to be functioning within, as well as doing some new manager assimilation to help people understand who this leader is and what, makes them tick and what ticks them off, and just trying to help, kind of clarify that. Really, the ultimate focus is to try and make sure that there is trust as the foundation of any team. And if they have trust, then they are going to, ultimately get the results, kind of following that five dysfunctions of a team model that Patrick Lencioni created. You have to have trust as the foundation. And so working and doing team building to create that, or to figure out how to get it back if it's been broken, working through some of the conflicts and doing some things. So that's where I work with teams on, that storming, forming, storming kind of space. Um, is I spend a lot of attention. From a talent strategy, it's being able to identify and to create the programs, the development plans for succession ultimately. So being able to, say, all right, let's look at who your leadership population is, or who are the players in your organization. Who do you think could take this next role, and how, what do they need to do to get there? So, what are the gaps? Let's create some plans, whether that's formal training, mentoring, or, sometimes even just plain one-on-one coaching can help close some of those gaps too. I have done work with performance management. I redesigned some of our performance management, my former company, and so have a lot of, opinions and maybe not opinions, but I have a lot of insight into, how to roll out some performance management changes that can drive, the conversations and the performance that people need to understand kind of where they're how they performed, what they need to do differently. And then from a training and facilitation standpoint, being able to, I have a signature program that's called Leadership is a Conversation, and it's based on the various conversations that people need to have within their as a leader. And the first conversation is the conversation with themselves to say, how do I need to show up? How do I need to what fears might I have, and why I'm not having, this development conversation or this feedback conversation or this accountability conversation. So that program is one that I am launching this year, and very excited about that. Yeah, yeah. But then there's also, I design and deliver programs that are, around some of those basic management fundamentals, but also some things that can help just anybody. So time management, priorities, generations in the workplace, a lot of communication skills, those types of things. So really my sweet spot is an organization that doesn't necessarily have a talent development person, or they need somebody, maybe that person is not as experienced and they need somebody to help come in and just provide some different insight and some different perspectives from, some of the tenured experience that I've had. So being able to work with some organizations that are in their start of their growth cycle, and they're saying, you know what, we have all these leaders that we know we're going to have to promote, or we've just promoted them and we don't have the infrastructure to give them the skills to be able to help them grow and develop. So for me to come in at that point to say, all right, let's look at what your leadership program should be, kind of soup to nuts. Um, And then if they just want a portion of that, we can carve out some of the portions of it, whether it's let's create the team building, let's figure out what your high potential programs are, or if it's just, hey, we just need a class on, um, time management, presentation skills, whatever it might be, then I can come in and start working in that space too.
Love it. You're a Jane of all trades when it comes to talent and
Yeah,
development.
yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love.
I love, and it's all content and all information.
Mhm.
I have a hard time kind of saying this is my sort of specific niche because it's like I love and feel like I am an expert in all of these different areas, and so want to be able to, work with organizations and plug and play in the best way that I can to help them grow and to help them realize, the potential that they have, not only within their people, but also within their organization and the results that they're hoping to get to.
One of the things that just jumped out at me when you were describing some of the things and how you go about delivering results for your clients was communication, and that is so fundamental to be able to have those tough conversations or to become a better leader. It's not just about knowing what to say, but knowing when to listen. Um,
Right.
and do you find that um, in some of the communication conversations that you have with clients and maybe some of the one-on-one folks that you work with, that understanding, I'll quote Kenny Rogers, Gambler, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to say something and know when to listen type thing. Um, and do you find that that's the biggest struggle for people?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, I am working with, I'm doing a lot of coaching right now,
Mhm.
and I would say 90% of the people I'm coaching, there is a communication issue, whether it's them as the manager to their team or to their manager or kind of just across the board. It is the result is somebody didn't talk to each other to really lay out what are those clear expectations, what are the roles and responsibilities, what are the boundaries. And then, there's this whole kind of aspect around, oh, I want to be nice to this person. I care about them and I want to honor and respect them. And so, I hear a lot. We're a nice culture. Our company has a nice culture. And as Brene Brown says, that's if you're talking about somebody, but you're not talking directly to them, that's not nice and it's not kind. And so be clear, clear is kind is kind of her moniker. And, just to have those like it's okay to have the conversations and we might fumble it. And if we build the trust, which is, as I was saying before, that's the foundation. If we have trust as a manager to their team and their team to their manager, then if I fumble something, I may be given a little bit of grace. If I haven't established trust and if I haven't established a good relationship, then I'm not going to necessarily be given the grace on either side, depending on who is seeing that as it kind of went south type of thing. But I do think that it is one of the main issues that if we could just get that right, and, that's why this leadership is a conversation. It's just talking to each other and having the courage to do so. And it doesn't have to be a complicated 4-page document that you fill out ahead of time. It can be something that's very simple and easy. That is, if I just can cover, these basic types of things with them, I'm going to be 80% there. And we'll figure out the 20% that I I may not hit the mark on that, but 80% of it is better than zero, and it's better than not saying, you know, sugarcoating something that then causes a person to never fully understand where they're how they're performing and what they need to do, and then getting frustrated because they're not reading your mind to know that this person isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, but we haven't sat down to tell them, okay, here's what good looks like, and let's try to work on what that is, and I'm going to help you get there by doing A, B, and C. And so
Sandwich method is not the way to go.
sandwich method is not the way to go. And I can't believe it is still I hear it all the
Yep.
time. And, I'll read a blog post or see something on LinkedIn, and even some people on podcasts that will say,
Yeah.
you need to have this. And I'm just like screaming, no, that's not the method. That's not the approach.
No.
It's balanced. It's giving the good and the bad. It's being able to say, here's what went well, and here's where the improvement needs to be made. And let's figure out together how we can close those gaps, and what are your ideas to help create that, so there's that buy-in too from the other person. So it is a collaboration of sorts, and not just the manager hoping that the person performs better, or the individual being expected to jump through hoops and not being given any direction or ideas and where to go.
Love that. So, I'm assuming what you deliver for your clients isn't a couple pages and then of content and then go forth and do great things. We'll just see how it works out for you. What is it that you through the services that you provide? What is it that you aim to deliver for each client engagement?
Yeah, so I spent a majority of my career as in the operations world. So I may have been a training manager, training leader within, mostly in call centers, in the financial services industries, several different companies, and that's where you and I work together. So I get that people have very limited time. They don't want to spend 4 days in a training class. So my approach, and really what I kind of my main guiding principle of how I function, how I, uh, you know, have established my organization, is to be simple and easy, and try to create something that is a very simple kind of model that's almost like, say these, like, here's this thought starter sentence that you can then kickstart into what it needs to be. So I really try to provide some real practical kinds of things that people can walk away with and immediately implement. It's not one of those that's like, okay, in some esoteric, if the world is in a perfect state and everybody, has sunshine and rainbows all the time, this is the model that you should provide. So try to just be real practical, real simple, because I know the audience, and I know from being as part of that operations group and sitting in those meetings, to be able to say, okay, we got to do it in this much time. You don't have all this time. You got to do this much. You got to be as effective as you possibly can be in this
Mhm.
in this moment, to capture attention and to create a call to action, and to create a motivation that people want to then, make that change, and to try it, just to try one thing. I think that was the thing that, you were talking about your early on, and some of the programs that you attended. And I remember the one for me, it was this management fundamentals class. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try. I'd been through a couple of other classes, very new manager, didn't know what I was doing, made a ton of mistakes. And
We all have.
oh yeah, yeah, I still do. Uh, and so I thought, I'm going to try this one model. I think it was a feedback sort of
Hmm.
approach. And I remember going and actually using it. And I thought, oh my gosh, that worked. Like it
Uh-huh.
created this whole epiphany of, oh, all right, well, let me try something else. And so it's just like, just take a baby step, dip your toe in the water, whatever phrase
Hmm.
you want to say,
Yeah.
of, just try it and see what works. And if it doesn't, then, there's 1,000 other models that you can use, but you might have gained a little bit, in that process. So
Yeah,
simple and easy in that very long-winded statement is
I love it.
ultimately where I want to go and what I try to do.
It's that KISS method. Keep it simple, silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, I think because we're in such a world today that you can get information so quickly and people's
Mhm.
attention span is like I think they used to say it was the length of a goldfish. That was years ago. A goldfish attention span, I think is what it was. Now it's not even, I mean, it's just a blip. And, you gotta, I mean, if you think about Instagram or TikTok, you can just scroll through and it's like, nope, don't want to listen to that. Don't want to listen to that. So I think from a leadership development, a development, growth and development kind of strategy, you have to keep that in mind that you've got to capture attention quickly, and otherwise people are just going to scroll right past you.
100%. 100%. So we're getting closer to the end here, Tara. But there's one question that I wanted to ask you, and it's a fill in the blank.
Okay.
So I'm particularly interested in learning your thoughts about at this stage in your career. Um, I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self blank. And how would this have helped you navigate your career differently?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say I wish I would have told my younger self to speak up and
Mm,
to show up. And I think I have said numerous times that I was very grateful that I had leaders that saw the potential in me before I saw it in me. And it took a while for me to see that within myself. It's not that way now, but I wish I had seen um, what I could do and then show up and shine and stand out. And I think sometimes we have been, and maybe it's a female thing, maybe it's whatever. I think it's more on a women type of approach that it's just like my voice just needs to maybe be a little bit more timid, or I can't speak up here, or it's not my place, or I don't rank high enough to say what I really want to say. And I think if I was to go back, I would have taken more opportunities to share my message and share my thoughts and not to be afraid and just have the courage to take the risk and to step forth and to volunteer for the thing that I really wanted to do that I may not have done. And fortunately, I had great leaders and I had great managers that shepherded me into those having those opportunities. And that's where I guess I want to also give back, now in being able to say, how can I help shepherd somebody else along? Whether it's as a consultant or when I was internal, just to like, I want to push you out there and I want you to shine. I want you to grow because that was done for me. And if you aren't doing it, I want to help you get there. And if you are doing it, I want to help you even, propel yourself even further.
I love that answer. Um, because there's so many people that are like, hey, I had to go figure it out. Let other people figure it out for themselves. And your mentality is, yeah, I cleared a path for you. Let me show you how to navigate that trail. Um, so you don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. So
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Speak up, like be
yeah.
yourself. I think I
Hmm.
think there's so much of just trying to feel like you've got to fit a mold and and yes, you do have to, learn how to adapt into a very, some various cultures and organizations obviously have different little nuances that you need to, yeah, you have to play the game. There's a game that you have to play. You got to figure out what the rules are. And being yourself and showing up authentically is the main thing that you need to do. Because if you're not, you're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy. You're not going to do your best work, and they're going to know you're not doing your best work. And it's ultimately going to be a disservice to you and the organization in the long run.
Love that. Love that. Well, we're now on the focus round or the speed round,
Okay.
whatever term we want to go ahead and use.
All
Um,
right.
so, just to kind of wrap up, put a bow on this, what are three takeaways from today's conversation that you would want viewers to remember?
Yeah, that it doesn't have to be complicated. Leadership development itself doesn't have to be complicated. It's very simple and easy. It is about communication and understanding the communication style and how I can best, uh, give my message to that person, and at least trying to give a message to them. Having some conversation is the first component. And that, ultimately, without trust in an organization, all of those things kind of fail. And so, through whether it's team building or working one on one in helping people to identify what might be some trustworthy behaviors that I'm not doing or need to be doing, or how to show up differently, that is the foundation for a good team, a good leader, and a good organization too. Without that, it just all falls apart.
What is the value of working with you and your company?
I have a wide variety of, I've worked in financial services, I've worked in technology for a very brief period of time, I've worked in energy, the energy sector. So I have a variety of different sort of um, industries and just kind of knowledge there. But it's also just about I customize my work. It's not a one size fits all. I really try to understand where you're coming from. That's a coaching method is, and even one of the seven habits, seek first to understand. So I really want to understand where you are and then see how I can help close those gaps. So working with me is about simple and easy, practical and customized approaches.
Love that. Love that. What's your key differentiator?
I, was part of human resources, but I always say I was on the fun side of human resources where I was helping people learn and grow and, reach their dreams, get promoted. I wasn't hiring or firing. And so I think having that sort of, I'm not HR, HR. I do understand from a operations standpoint what are those fundamental things that people need, the basics, to help them to move forward, and being able to see that it's not just a theory, it's some real practical kinds of things that people can implement quickly and start to get results sooner.
Love that. Love that. Well, Tara, if someone wants to pick your brain about, do a deeper dive with you about the work that you do, how it could apply to their organization, regardless of how small or how large they are, um, talent development resources that you may be aware of, conferences or events that you may be attending, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
The best way would be through LinkedIn, quite
Mhm.
honestly, and connecting with me there, and then we can set up some time to touch base. I'm in the process of figuring out what conferences I'm going to be attending this year, so I don't know that quite yet. But the best way would be through LinkedIn, which I know you'll tag me in here.
For
I
sure.
would love to. On any level, just to be able to share best practices, to share some ideas, and then if there's some opportunity to work with you, with anybody out there, whether it's one-on-one coaching and helping you to unlock, kind of what's already going around in your head and step into your power, or working with organizations and creating those leadership programs, I would love that opportunity to do that. So,
Love that. You know, one,
yeah.
one just to bring up a quick conversation because I know we're getting a little bit long on time here, but I love this conversation and how it's flowed. But one thing that really resonated with me in a recent conversation that you and I had, I think it was actually a coffee talk, um,
Yeah.
and um, was um, when you said even coaches need coaches.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and that really resonated. So, no matter what your role is within an organization, don't think that getting some outside perspective is a bad thing. Reach out to Tara. If you want an introduction, reach out to me. I'll make the introduction to Tara, and can tell you that I definitely support the work that she's doing. I think it's amazing work. And I look forward to exploring additional work with you in the upcoming year as well.
That's awesome. Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, everybody needs another person to just kind of lean on, and
Mhm.
that is what coaching can do. It's that kind of third party that can sometimes put the mirror up in front of your face to go, oh yeah, I am
Yes.
doing that and I need to do something different. So highly encourage if it's not a big thing, if you want some individual, work,
Hmm.
I'd be happy to do a discovery call with you and just kind of see what might be if that might be a fit or at least maybe fix something, in that short period of time.
Love it. Love it. And how you see Tara coming across on this is exactly how she is in person and exactly who she is as a professional. So, if you like this episode, please like, subscribe, comment. If you want an introduction to Tara, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and make an introduction. Tara, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to have some coffee talk with me.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure being with you today, Mark, and with your viewers and listeners. So, thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Okay,
Thanks.
sounds great. Thank you.